it becomes an experience rather than just food on a plate. You know, yes, we're working on innovative dishes and trying to make things that are creative, but what more can it be?
Chef Homero Cantu on the brink of conquering sugar.
My God, this guy is going to change the world. This guy's going to save the world.
We're going to be doing great things in the future. The world will shortly know what we have been up to.
I'd like to introduce you to a bold new American thinker whose ideas may change the world.
He didn't shoot for like little things, you know, he wanted to like go to that next level.
Our ultimate goal is to eliminate refined sugar from the human diet.
He wanted to improve people's lives because he knew what suffering was about.
When I was really young, my mother, sister, and I were homeless for about 3 years. And my mother had drug addiction problems. My father just wasn't there. And so we floated from homeless shelter to homeless shelter.
And he spent time being homeless. And I think that he really had the sense of, we can solve these problems. And the bigger the problem, the more he wanted to solve it.
Restaurants work on thin margins. So what I've been doing is I've been funding this lab with my own money from Cantu Designs. And I've gotten to a point where I'm maxed out. We're eliminating the sugar so you don't have to think about all the bad things that you're eating.
It has a little protein on it that's going to make these lemons taste as sweet as lemonade.
He could be the first chef to ever get a Nobel Peace Prize.
I don't know if his agenda was to ever make money. I don't think so. You invested in the right guy, you invested in the right place, sometimes it doesn't go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. We have liftoff of the Falcon 9.
Instead of making foods that looks like things that you wouldn't eat, we decided to make ingredients look like dishes that you know. So this is a plate of nachos. The difference between our nachos and like the other guy's nachos is that this is actually a dessert. So the chips are candied, the ground beef is made from chocolate, and the cheese is made from a shredded mango sorbet that gets shredded into liquid nitrogen to look like cheese. And after doing all this like dematerialization and like reconfiguring of these ingredients, we realized it was pretty cool because as we served it, we learned that the dish actually behaves like the real thing, where the cheese begins to melt. So when you're looking at this thing in the dining room, you have the sensation that this is actually a plate of nachos. And it's not really until you begin tasting it that you realize this is a dessert, and it's just kind of like a mind ripper.
So we had been creating all of these dishes out of a kitchen that was more like a mechanic shop than a kitchen. And the next logical step for us was to install a state-of-the-art laboratory. And that's what we have here. So we put this in the basement, and we got really serious about food, like serious experimentation.
One of the really cool things about the lab, besides that we have a new science lab in the kitchen, is that with this new equipment and this new approach, all these different doors to creativity that we never knew were there began to open. And so the experiments and the food and the dishes that we created, they just kept going further and further out there.
Let's talk about flavor transformation, and let's actually make some cool stuff. You see a cow with its tongue hanging out. What I see is a cow about to eat something delicious. What is that cow eating? And why is it delicious? So the cow basically eats 3 basic things in their feed: corn, beets, and barley. And so what I do is I actually challenge my staff with these crazy, wild ideas. Can we take what the cow eats, remove the cow, and then make some hamburgers out of that? And basically the reaction tends to be kind of like this.
Yeah, that's our chef de cuisine, Chris Jones. This is not the only guy that just flips out when we assign a ridiculous task. But a lot of these ideas, they're hard to understand. They're hard to just get automatically. There's a lot of research and a lot of failure, trial and error, I guess more error, that goes into each and every dish. So we don't always get it right, and it takes a while for us to be able to explain that to people.
So after about a day of Chris and I staring at each other, we came up with something that was pretty close to the hamburger patty. And as you can see, it basically forms like hamburger meat. This is made from 3 ingredients: beets, barley, corn. And so it actually cooks up like hamburger meat, looks and tastes like hamburger meat. And not only that, but it's basically removing the cow from the equation. So replicating food, taking it into that next level is where we're going.
Word. And it's definitely the world's first bleeding veggie burger, which was a cool side effect. And a Miracle Berry, if you're not familiar with it, is a natural ingredient, and it contains a special property. It's a glycoprotein called miraculin, a naturally occurring thing. It still freaks me out every time I eat it, but it has a unique ability to mask certain taste receptors on your tongue, so that primarily sour taste receptors. So normally things that would taste very sour or tart somehow begin to taste very sweet.
You're about to eat a lemon, and now it tastes like lemonade. Let's just stop and think about the economic benefits of something like that. We could eliminate sugar across the board for all confectionery products and sodas, and we can replace it with all natural fresh fruit. But where is this going? How can we take this idea of tricking your taste buds and leapfrog it into something that we can do today that could be a disruptive food technology? So here's the next challenge. I told the staff, let's just take a bunch of wild plants, think of them as food ingredients, as long as they're non-poisonous to the human body, go out around Chicago, sidewalks, pick it, blend it, cook it, and then have everybody flavor trip on it at Moto. Let's charge them a boatload of cash for this and see what they think.
Yeah, so you can imagine a task like this. This is another one of those assignments that the kitchen staff hated us for, but we really had to almost like relearn how to cook in general, because these are ingredients, plant life that we're, one, unfamiliar with, and two, we have no reference for how to cook these things because people don't eat them. So we really had to think about new creative ways to flavor, new ways to cook, and to change texture. And that was the main issue with this challenge.
So this is where we step into the future, and we leapfrog ahead. So developing nations and first world nations, imagine if you could take these wild plants and consume them. Food miles would basically turn into food feet. This disruptive mentality of what food is would essentially open up the encyclopedia of what raw ingredients are. Even if we just swapped out, say, one of these for flour, that would eliminate so much energy and so much waste. And to give you a simple example here as to what we actually fed these customers, there's a bale of hay there and some crab apples. And basically we took hay and crab apples and made barbecue sauce out of those two ingredients. People swore they were eating barbecue sauce, and this is free.
For many on the next list, innovation is equal parts inspiration and luck. For Chef Cantu, one of his wildest innovations came about when he stumbled upon the Miracle Berry. This remarkable little berry actually contains a protein called miraculin. It makes sour foods taste sweet, and processed into a tablet, it opens the door to endless new food experiences.
What we're doing here is we're making something that we could actually serve at one of the restaurants, but it's easy to do for the home cook. We're going to do 2 sauces with some waffles, and these waffles are sugar-free. The sauces are completely sugar-free, and they're actually really easy to make. So the first one is going to be a caramel applesauce, and all we're going to use for that is apple cider vinegar, some cornstarch, and water. And what we do is we just take some apple cider vinegar and we crank that up. You're going to take a little bit of cornstarch and some of the apple cider vinegar, and you make a little slurry in there. Over about 10 minutes, after cooking it on slow and low, it'll thicken into something that looks just like apple caramel sauce. It's very vinegary, so when you eat the Miracle Berry, it tastes as sweet as apple caramel. Very cool. So the benefits here with something like that is there's no sugar, and you can't really fool a kid. They want sweetness, and in this case, we're going to pair it up with some waffles. You like Miracle Berry? Yes. How about you, Gracie? You like them? Okay, good. Good job. You're hired. So yeah, there's a huge opportunity here for sugar companies, food companies, research and development companies in food to just rethink all of their products and start really a whole new economy of sweetened products that have no sugar additives, or sugar substitutes. Yeah, let's go ahead and give you your berry. There you go. Suck on it like a cough drop. Okay, there you go. How does it taste?
Like strawberry.
Like a strawberry? Oh, that's a new one. Okay, go ahead and eat your lemon.
So our overnight sourdough waffles are done. And we're gonna sit down and eat. Do you want both kinds of sauce, girls? We have carrot cake and caramel apple.
Caramel apple.
Okay, good. Hard to believe it's apple cider vinegar.
Little.
How's the sausage?
It tastes like caramel cake.
Caramel cakey? It's a very good observation.
Chef Cantu's kids are crazy about the berry. Cantu first became aware of the berry when he was asked to create a way to preserve it for a friend suffering from cancer.
I was asked to create a flavor strip for a chemo patient because they can only taste rubbery and metallic things. And so I basically shipped out these printed food strips with Miraculin on them, and it worked for this chemo patient. They could taste food again. And over the past 7 years, I've given it to over 1,000 patients that just come to us by word of mouth. Say, hey, can we get a regimen for 6 weeks of chemotherapy for this?
What Cantu began as a favor for a friend is now undergoing clinical trials at Mount Sinai Medical Center in Miami Beach. Recently, Dr. Mike Kusner presented the preliminary results of what he calls a small but promising study to the Society of Integrative Oncology.
Results of the study on chemotherapy patients appeared to be beneficial. 48% of the patients reported an improvement in their taste, and 14% of the patients that underwent study with the miracle fruit had an improvement in their weight.
Dr. Kusner is also studying how the miracle berry might affect glucose, or blood sugar levels, in healthy patients.
We have a problem with food addiction in our country. Diets don't work, and people that go on diets go on and off. You've never heard anybody ever say, boy, I really enjoyed being on that diet. That was awesome. You know, that just doesn't happen. We're trying to take the other approach. We want to give you food products like this waffle that taste better than the real thing, just because of the way it's made. And, you swear you're ingesting tons of, calories from sugar, but there's nothing there.